As you all know, last year the Department of Justice, assisted by the U.S. Attorney's Office here in New Mexico, started a preliminary review of the Albuquerque Police Department to determine if a full investigation into their policies and practices on use of force is necessary. After careful consideration of the information gathered during our review, we have concluded that a full civil rights investigation is warranted to determine whether APD engages in a pattern or practice of violations of the Constitution or federal law. In particular, the investigation will focus on use of force by APD, including but not limited to the use of deadly force. Our investigation into APD's use of force practices will be thorough, fair, and independent. We will peel the onion to its core, and we will leave no stone unturned. We will follow the facts wherever the facts lead us. We will gather as much information as possible from as many sources as possible. We will examine departmental policies and practices, review records, and interact with police officers in the field. We will be assisted by seasoned police professionals, many of whom are retired or current police chiefs with extensive experience in contemporary policing standards. We will talk to department leadership and rank and file officers. We will also actively engage with the community, a critical part of the process of determining whether systemic violations exist and how a police department can be improved. Our goal with this investigation, as with all of our police pattern or practice investigations, is simple: to determine the truth and to ensure that APD is an effective, accountable police department that controls crime, ensures respect for the Constitution, and earns the trust of the public it is charged with protecting. We will review cases individually and cumulatively to determine whether there are indeed any patterns or trends. We do not prejudge our investigations. Rather, we gather all available facts to determine thoroughly and objectively whether systemic violations have occurred. If we determine that a pattern or practice of excessive force exists, we will work with the city, the police department, and the community in a collaborative fashion to develop a comprehensive blueprint for sustainable reform. From the first time we met with Mayor Barry and Chief Schultz, they pledged to cooperate fully with our review, and they have indeed done so. I am also pleased, as I noted earlier, that we are joined today by community leaders. This is indeed the Communities Department, and it is important to hear from community stakeholders. Our experience has shown that when we have cooperation and engagement from a city, its police department, and the community, we can conduct our investigation in a much more efficient and effective manner. And we will not wait until the end of our investigation to offer technical assistance or other recommendations to address concerns that we identify. During the course of our investigations elsewhere, we have frequently provided real-time feedback that has enabled the police departments to implement critical reforms in an expedited fashion. We appreciate that Chief Schultz is not waiting for the conclusion of our investigation to identify and implement changes to improve the department. We expect to remain in regular contact with the police department leadership over the next several months on these issues and to continue to take appropriate steps together to improve the quality of policing by APD. Now let me be careful and clear. This is a civil investigation, not a criminal investigation. We are focused on whether there is a pattern or practice of excessive force by the APD, including but not limited to the use of deadly force. The road ahead will be difficult. This work is not easy, but this independent review is critical to ensuring and preserving trust between a police department and the community it serves. As a former frontline prosecutor who's worked very closely with police officers and communities, I recognize fully that community trust is among the most important pieces of currency that any police officer or police department has. And so, in the months ahead, we intend to do a considerable amount of listening and learning. We will listen and learn from APD. And to all the men and women of the Albuquerque Police Department, we look forward to hearing your thoughts and suggestions. We look forward to riding along with you so that we can step in your shoes as best as possible. We have the greatest respect for the hard job that you have day in and day out. And our role is to identify potential tools that will make your job safer and more rewarding and will help you to reduce crime and ensure respect for the Constitution. To the community, we will continue to seek out and hear your thoughts on what is working in APD in your opinion and what needs to be fixed. We are hopeful and confident that everybody with an interest in this matter will approach the months ahead with a constructive spirit, mindful that we all have a shared interest in ensuring that APD serves the entire community with great distinction. We invite anyone with information to email us, and we've set up an email account specific for this case, community.albuquerque@usdoj.gov, community.albuquerque@usdoj.gov. Now, if I were east of the Mississippi, I'd have to spell Albuquerque, but I won't do so here. We also have a voicemail box, toll-free number, 855-544-5134, 855-544-5134. It's available in both English and Spanish, and you can call that number. And finally, to the leadership of the City of Albuquerque, we appreciate your continuing cooperation. Our goal is not simply to fix the blame, but to identify and fix problems, if any, that we identify in connection with use of force, and to work collaboratively with you and the entire community to build a department everybody is and will be proud of.